Atlanta, Georgia is a city of great ambition and diversity. It's a city that's comfortable hosting a Super Bowl, which it has very often, to hosting the Bronner Brothers Hair Show. It's a city black celebrities love and has a real rich repository of important black history. I'm Nelson George from BlackAtlas.com. Welcome to Atlanta. So much comes out of these great streets, and Auburn Avenue is no exception. Today, it's best known for the Dr. King Center for Nonviolence. I'm standing here right now on the land in front of where Dr. King and his wife lay to rest. And it's a very beautiful, powerful place to be. A lot of people come to Atlanta, they come here in business, they come here for convention, they come here to party. But I think when you look at all the things we've accomplished since the 1960s, it's important to come and pay respect, not simply to Dr. King's memory, but to the memory of all of the African Americans who laid their life down to achieve what we enjoy today. This building behind me at 332 Auburn Avenue has a really interesting history. It was built by the Masons, black Masons in fact, one of the first black-owned and black-built buildings in Atlanta. On the second floor, WERD, the first black-owned radio station in the United States, went up in 1949. And on the lower floor, the offices of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference was opened there in the 1950s. So literally you had Dr. King underneath. There's these stories, two different stories. One is that he used to take a broom and knock on his ceiling, the floor of the radio station, to let them know he wanted to make an announcement. And that Jack Gibson, who's one of the famous DJs there, would lower a mic from that window down to Dr. King for him to make announcements. Now, Jack Gibson, who was a star DJ at WERD, great character. He was known back then as Jockey Jack Gibson, and his thing would be, he'd have a bugle, and he'd go, "My father wasn't a jockey, but he told me how to ride." He said, "First in the middle, and then from side to side. Ride, Jockey Jack, ride." And he was one of the original sort of rappers. He became known as Jack the Rapper. And his conference, the Jack the Rapper Conference, went on for decades, and it was a place here in Atlanta where everybody could see everybody. One of the areas of Atlanta that the natives know about, but the tourists don't, that I'm telling you about right now, is East Atlanta Village, and particularly this area of Flat Shoals Avenue. It's a great strolling area. Boutiques, great little restaurants, nail shops, and it's got a real kind of East Coast feel that you don't really associate with Atlanta. So if you want to hang out with the natives in a very funky part of town, Flat Shoals Avenue and East Atlanta Village. One of the things that distinguishes Atlanta is not simply the number of black celebrities who live here, which is a pretty big number, but also the amount of business they do in this town. Black celebrity is a big business in Atlanta, and one of the ways it manifests itself is in restaurants. I mean, Gladys Knight has a restaurant here. Ludacris has a restaurant here. Jermaine Dupri used to have a restaurant here. And of course, there's Justin's, owned by Sean P. Diddy Combs, which has been here over 10 years, and it's kind of a landmark at this point in South Buckhead. Nelson George for BlackAtlas.com. I'm in East Atlanta, which I've just discovered recently, and I'm with an old friend who's also who's become a TV star. This is Cynthia Bailey.
About to become a TV star.
That's right. And who's going to be on what show this fall?
The Housewives of Atlanta.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
How long have you been living in Atlanta?
I've been living in Atlanta now for about 3 years.
Okay. Now, you've lived in New York, you've lived in Europe?
Yes, Paris, London, Australia. I'm actually from Alabama,
right.
Which is why I get the whole South, like Atlanta thing. And even after coming from New York after 25 years, I think the great thing that I personally love about Atlanta is it's not a whole lot going on, but if you want to to be up in the mix. There's
Right.
enough going on to put yourself in the mix. Once I met Peter and I came down to visit a couple times, I just noticed I never wanted to leave.
So, tell me about where you are right now. What part of Atlanta we're in?
You are in, like you said, East Atlanta. This area in particular is called Glenwood Park.
Okay.
Apparently, it used to not be so nice. It's kind of like downtown Atlanta, but like it's becoming like a kind of one of the coolest places to live in Atlanta, actually.
Beautiful, beautiful. Listen, you're a model, you're a fashion girl. People come to Atlanta, they want to shop. Where do you recommend they go look for interesting clothing?
We have a really cool area called Five Points. If you're into more like a thrifty, kind of like, you know, cool New York kind of flavor.
Okay.
Otherwise, you know, you have the malls. You have Lenox and you have Phipps Plaza,
Right.
which is where you have your Neiman's. And
A lot of people in Atlanta are very into like labels and stuff.
Anybody who's ever heard an album by Arrested Development back in the day, or even an Andre 3000 record, knows their black bohemian spirit exists in Atlanta. And one of the real repositories of that spirit is Little 5 Points. Now, if you come to Atlanta, I know a lot of you stay in Midtown or in Buckhead, but Little 5 Points is where you get your alternative flavor on. Boutiques, tattoo parlors, coffee shops, and lots of local flavor.
I guess it constitutes anywhere from maybe 3 or more girls.
Okay.
And you come down and we do your hair, makeup, and your wardrobe, and you know, you might have some champagne and some hors d'oeuvres and make a party out of it.
Oh, wow.
And so usually people just go out straight from there since they're already all glammed up.
Atlanta, Georgia is a city of great black history, great black celebrity, and great black achievement. I'm Nelson George for BlackAtlas.com. Catch you in the air.